Okay. Good evening, everybody. Today is the 26th of October, 2021. Oh my God. This year is running to a close, like literally galloping to a close. We are on the John Lavinia Success Mastermind. So to all of those watching us on YouTube, logging in on Facebook and wherever else you may be joining us from, thank you so much and welcome to these conversations. We hope you get something out of it. Today, it's me, Ivie Barnabas, facilitating the general session on the JLSM platform. If you're looking for a topic of what we should call our conversation today, it's you are exactly where you are meant to be. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Why am I saying that? From every book we've read, every book study, conversation, there are a few recurring themes. And one of them is we are what we think, right? So it's all our thoughts, all our habits, all our doing have brought us thus far, which is where we are today. Fine, we might want to say there's some external factors and maybe, curveballs that life has thrown, but I just want to repeat, you are exactly where you are meant to be right now. There's no coincidence. There's no mishap. There's no, oh my God, I took a wrong turn. No. If there's anything challenging that statement, you will be on the same page with me, hopefully at the end of this conversation. But if you're looking for a title, that's a title. And why do I say that? Is for a lot of us, especially those of us on this platform that have dreams, that have goals, and are working towards making those dreams and goals a reality. If it's something we started on this platform and I think we've created the habits and now we're living the lifestyle, is we are investing in ourselves. So we're reading books, which is why the book study is super important because, every book we read, every conversation we have, the recordings are also available to members of the JLSM platform. So if you're not a member of this platform, I will suggest you subscribe so that you have access to past recordings because some of those conversations have been so rich that I go back again and again just to remind myself of some of the things that we've spoken about, right? So I know sometimes I facilitate, but when I speak, I'm speaking to myself as much to anyone else in the room or on the platform at that time, because I need reminders too, right? And for me, repetition reinforces the mindset I should have. So it helps me get rid of those old habits and actually cement the new ones, right? So I need to hear these messages again and again and again. It's not a one-time thing for me. I'm constantly digging in the archive saying to myself, oh my God, there was that chat or that conversation on so-and-so day. And I'm looking to see if I can find which one it is. Because I just find when I replay it, it gets me back in the zone and I'm where I should be. And I'm va-va-voom, like through all my targets and goals and objectives. I'm just like, it's almost like I'm in the zone, right? I get into the mindset real quick. It works better than a song sometimes. It works better than physical activity sometimes. Just listening to the recordings and hearing everybody chime in just gets me thinking so quickly back to where I need to be. It's amazing. So once again, if you are not part of the subscription and you don't have access to recordings, I suggest you pick one up because they're just invaluable. I mean, for me, they've been amazing. So we know that we are what we think, right? But for a lot of people who are not privy to conversations like this, especially, they're not having these kind of conversations. So they're not forming the right kind of habits. So that script that's running in the back of their minds, it's still conditioning. It's still maybe one parent's voice or both parents' voices. Maybe it's societal input. Maybe a teacher when they were in school that said they'll never amount to anything. Maybe it's even an old boss, right? Who just criticized and criticized and criticized so that now the script, the replay, the recording in their minds, the voice they hear, the words they hear, right, are just constantly self-defeating affirmations. They are just repetitions of what's not right with them as opposed to what is right with them, right? Because one of the books we've done the whole auto-suggestion thing where before we go to bed, we can actually say to ourselves and think about the reality that we want. We can picture that reality, get ourselves, and ask ourselves, what would I feel like if this reality were actually here, if I could touch it, feel it, right? So we get into the emotional space, we get into the physical space, and we're actually living the dream and living in the dream while we're still pursuing the dream. And because we've programmed our minds and we have this picture, it's powerful. The mind is a powerful tool. So when we go through our day-to-day tasks and we're ticking off on that list, have I done this? Have I done that? We can see that picture we're still carrying in our heads, right? So as we tick through those activities or tasks, we know it's getting us closer to that reality that we're carrying around with us, right? So that's something else we picked up on one of the many books that we've read on this platform. But for many people, they're not retraining their minds. They're not retraining their psyches to start thinking about those things. Another thing some people suffer with is self-esteem, right? Where for whatever reason, they think of themselves as less than they actually are, right? But for us here, I think we've harped on our strengths enough. I think we've spoken positively into our lives enough. I think, you know, in our journeys and in our exploratory moves into finding what businesses we want to go into, what products we want to launch on Amazon, what brands we want to have, how we want to position ourselves in the marketplace. I think for a lot of us, we've actually identified our strengths. And so we're now playing to our strengths. We're actually coming into our own. We're becoming the people that we were meant and created to be, right? Because now we're living in the reality of, this is what I'm good at, and I'm going to shine in those areas. The things that I'm not so good at, I know I can start working on those, right? But we have the confidence from the things we are good at to actually tackle the things that still require a bit of work, right? And that's because we've been on this platform and we're having the conversations that's actually making us feel better of ourselves, right? Better about ourselves on a fundamental basis. And that just gives you the motivation to go on. If you're not your own personal cheerleader, you know, I will ask you, why should anybody else cheer you on, right? At the best and worst of times, you should be able to give yourself a pep talk, right? And get your spirits back up. You should be able to say, look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, girlfriend, or, you know what, dude, you are all that. You are fabulous. You're going places. You're destined for, you know, greatness. You should be able to speak life and affirming words to yourself. And hopefully we've got the posture from this platform with everything that we've, you know, talked about, with everything we're being constantly fed. Hopefully our confidence levels are rising. They're not where they were when we started this 18 months ago, right? So for a lot of us, we're really far along that journey, right? Where what we see, what we behold in our mind's eye, what we think of ourselves is so much further along than the average person. Maybe the third area that I want to talk about is that, like I said, that script playing in our heads, right? For a lot of us, we've actually reprogrammed our brains, and we have our affirming statements now that we replay, and we say, you know what, I got this, right? And I'm saying all of this to reinforce that it doesn't matter how many times we fall flat on our faces. It doesn't matter how many product launches don't quite get there. Don't give up on yourself, because if you count yourself out, then guess what? You're no longer in the running. So that success that you want, that dream you want to be a reality, you kind of like shut it out of the water. It's never going to be, right? So if you think of everybody that's gone before us, the people that have written the books, the people we studied, the successful business people, whoever, they've had quite a few trial and errors, right? They didn't get it right the first time. Some of them didn't get it right the 10th time. Some of them the 100th time, right? It wasn't until the 101st time of doing the same things over and over and over again that they got their breakthrough. And if these are guys that we are walking in their footsteps because they were trailblazers along this mindset journey and path and personal development pursuit that we're all on, if we're actually following in their stead, then why do we think we're going to get it right first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time? Sometimes it does happen. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, the universe will partner with you, and everything will just click, align, and it will just work out beautifully, right? But that is not the norm. The norm is it takes a few tries to get something right. It takes a few tries, tweaks here, tweaks there, to get a product just perfect for your marketplace, yeah? It takes the right kind of advertising, the right kind of words, the right kind of photos, right kind of branding, right kind of words, all gelled together, and you put a listing up that's just gonna resonate with that person you need to buy that product. It takes the right person buying your product to write the right review that's going to speak to the many others that will come after that one purchase, right? So never ever say, because the first few times you've done something, you didn't get it right, therefore you're a failure, or therefore this is not worth it, or therefore you give up, or therefore, you can't do it, you're worthless. Please, all of those negative affirmations or negative repetitions or negative statements to ourselves, out the window. There's no place for them here. We've come far enough in our journeys, individually and collectively, to know that we are better off for every single experience that we face. Besides, when something doesn't work the first time round, it gives you an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to go back to the drawing board, rework that thing, right? Tweak it a little bit. Ask yourself questions about, how can I make this better? Right? Is it the positioning? Did I get the target audience wrong? Is it the price point? Is it the packaging? What can I add and make it a bundle that will make it absolutely irresistible, right? But if you don't take that stock, and if you don't review the process and how far you've come, nobody can do that for you, right? So in terms of when I said we are exactly where we are meant to be, there's no mistake, there's no mishap. It's everything we've thought, everything we've seen in our mind's eye, and everything we've told ourselves internally, and our self-esteem, how much we regard ourselves. All of those things have worked together to bring us to where we are today. And so if it's one message I want to say to everybody on this platform, and for as many as will listen in, is that you are fabulous, you are valuable, you've got what it takes to get to where you need to be. Whatever your goals are, however big, however small, and everything in between, you have what it takes to get you to where you need to be. If you don't have it, I promise you, you are so closely connected to the person who will help you get there. It's not some person on the other end of the world. It's not somebody on another planet. The person is right here. And from the connections you already have, you are closer to that person that's going to get you over that hump than you think you are. It all boils down to what we think. If we think we do not know the person, we can't get the help we need, we don't want to ask for the help because we've counted ourselves out of the game anyway, then guess what? That will be the reality. But for as long as we say, this picture, this image I have in my head of my dream, my goals becoming reality, it will become, because it's already happened once in my mind. Because things are created twice, I believe. Once in the mind, secondly, in reality, because you pull it down from the ether into reality. As long as you have that up here between your ears and you focus on it, you spend time on it, right? You dwell on it, you give it life, you breathe into it, right? Literally, it's like how bad you want something. You can actually gauge it by how much time you spend on that thing. So if for example, like I know I want, my ideal home. I have the picture in my head and I've written down from room to room, the color scheme, the kind of furniture I want, the kind of paintings that are going to be on the wall. And every time, I'm in a lovely home right now, don't get me wrong, but guess what? There's always room to stretch, right? And go higher, do better, right? Have more, yeah, do better. So I'm thinking of the next, place, and I'm thinking, okay, for me, my ideal home is going to be a 4-bedroom house. Why? Because I'm going to have a home office still. I'm not going to go below where I'm at now. It's like, I'm going to build on what I have now. I want a home gym. I want a dedicated room for my home gym, right? So that's already 2 rooms gone. Then, of course, I'm going to have my bedroom, right? And then the 4th one is going to be if I have guests coming over, because believe it or not, yeah, every now and again, you might want girlfriends over so you can have a, pajama party, right? Or you might, so that's for me is the minimum. But I've gone through every room and I've said what color the walls are going to be, if they're not going to be just a blankety, whatever color. I've talked about the color scheme. And for me, I change the colors of my pillows and stuff as the seasons change. I've gone into that level of detail. So when I think of this home, I'm walking from room to room and I can see exactly what gym equipment is going to go where. I can describe it to you now from room to room. And I've gone as far as the outside, the landscaping, the kind of plants I want in the garden. I've done that, right? But that means I've spent a lot of time birthing this dream, creating this image. So that's why I can talk so like detailed about it, because I have spent the time, I have sat down and I painted this mental picture and I said to myself, this is what it's going to look like, down to the color scheme, down to the flowers, the kind of flowers. I mean, I've walked around gardens and I've said, I want that in that shade. I'm talking shades now. I mean, this is crazy, right? I'm talking shades, right? And so you can imagine how, oh my God, I spent a lot of time on this. So I can see, when I close my eyes, I can see this home and I know it exists because it's already here. I just need to pull it down from the ether into where I am, right? So that's kind of one of the things I was saying in terms of what do you see? So that's the question you need to ask yourself. What do you see? If you don't see that fullness, that picture, that becoming of your dream, that reality of your dream, then guess what? I hate to break it to you. It won't be realized. If you don't see it in your mind's eye, there is no way, because it means you're not even clear on what it is you want. So how can the ether, how can the universe partner with you to make that a reality? You've got to be so clear. You know, once again, we said no ambiguity, no vagueness. We got to be detailed. We got to be on point. We got to be laser focused. There's no, I could do with 3 bedrooms. If it's 4, it'll be okay. 5, I'm clear. 4 bedrooms. And I said exactly why it's 4. I'm not confused and I'm not of 2 minds of whether would 3 be okay? No, 3 will not be okay because it will not meet my requirements. 5 might be a tad too big for just me, myself, and I, because I'm not going to have a permanent guest in my house. I'm going to be living on my own most of the time, right? So if I had a 5th room, I'd be like, oh my God, okay, this is getting like borderline big, right? I mean, I would hear myself literally breathing around the house. That would be excessive, right? And that's what I mean, but the rooms would be decent sizes, right? So that for me, there's no confusion as to the number of rooms I'm going to have. But if you're still saying to yourself, if I was still saying to myself, I could do with 3 rooms. And you know what, if I saw one with 5, I'll take it. No, that's not clear. That's not precise enough. The universe is kind of like wondering, okay, so what do we do? Do we pull down a 3 bedroom? Do we pull down a 5 bedroom? Or do we actually get the 4 that she keeps saying that's what she wants? So you confuse the ether, you confuse the universe, and they're like, okay, we're just going to sit back and wait until she makes up her mind how many bedrooms it is. There ain't nothing we can do to make this happen. We can't pull it down for her because, I mean, we don't know if it's 3, 4, or 5. So they'll be like sending signals to me. That's if I'm receiving them. And if I'm open to receiving them, I'll get like, slaps upside the head, like virtual ones, right? Or mental reminders to say, girlfriend, is it 3, 4, or 5, right? And those thoughts will come when I least expect them most of the time. Maybe I'm doing dishes or I'm driving somewhere or I'm reading a document. Suddenly I'll be like, and when those thoughts come, initially when I was building this picture of this house, I was so sure I asked myself, okay, would 3 be okay? Because I've got two bedrooms now, right? And I said, no, why should I go from 2 to 3? Why can't I go straight to 4? I actually challenged myself when the 3 presented itself as a potential second best or counterfeit, right? I kind of like said, no, why should I settle for 3? If I could get 2 from 1, so I doubled it, why can't I just double and go to 4, right? Those are the kind of conversations I was having in my head as I was building this mental image, right? So what we think and what we see on the inside is so key. It has to be so detailed, so precise, so to the letter. That is the only way the universe has the raw materials to actually work with you on, because then they know you are not ambiguous about what it is you want. Forces will partner with you to make that happen, right? So that's one thing. Secondly, what we think. I say to myself, if I keep beating myself up on the inside, and I wake up in the morning and I want to have a successful day, I want to have a productive day, I want to get that award at work, or I want to clinch that deal, or I want to restructure that loan that's not quite working right, one of my accounts, or I want to write this paper. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, dang, girl, you ain't got what it takes to do this, right? You're going to mess it up. You don't understand the numbers. You don't know how to read financial statements. If that's what I keep telling myself up here, it doesn't matter what I write in my diary or in my day planner for that day to say, this is what I want to achieve. Because in here, what I'm thinking and what's replaying in my mind is contrary to what I've written down in my day planner to say, this is what I want to achieve. So opposing forces, I'm pretty much knocking myself out because my thoughts are literally just crossing out every task on my day planner. Because as much as I want to have a successful day, productive day, whatever it is, I'm going to get that task done. It doesn't matter. I can write down A to Z until I'm nauseous. If up here, I'm telling myself, it can't be done, I don't have the time, I don't have the skills, I'm going to mess it up, guess what? It's not going to happen. So once again, what we think, that script that's playing in our heads is so important. Before I speak, like publicly, like I was saying to, just before when I got on, I was saying I just come off another call that I was all talked out. And I said to myself, as soon as I uttered those words in my head, I said, no, you got this, girl, because this is one of your strengths and this is where you shine. And if it's something I have always been told from when I was yay high, is that, girl, you can talk, right? I've never been shy. Anybody who, in fact, my sisters always pushed me to go to the parents to ask for whatever it was we wanted because I was fearless. It didn't matter if we were going to get smacked, if we were going to get scolded, if we were going to get screamed at, I'd go. And I'd still say, you know what? And I'd negotiate. I say, mom, dad, we've done this, this, this. So I think we've been good. So we deserve a reward. And I'd say, but how about this, right? And if I got a no, I'd go, I hear you saying that, but you actually said if we ever did this, 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 we'd get something. So if you're saying no to that, how about that? From the year high, I already knew. So I'd start with something that I knew was maybe a far stretch, but guess what? At the end of that conversation, we got exactly what we wanted. So guess who they put forward the next time around who wanted something? Me. Because I wasn't afraid. I knew how to package the conversation, how to put the request together. I'd go to my dad and I'd go, Dad, you've had a long day today, I'm going to make this short, sharp, and sweet, because I don't want to take too much of your time. You need to put your feet up. You need to relax. Da, 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 da. By the time I'm done, he's like, okay, child, what do you want? What is it? What's bugging you, right? So before I finish the request, go, yeah, you can have it. That's it. I'm out the room, skipping out the room, and I got it, right? With my mom, she was a bit tougher. So my mom was a whole negotiating, Mom, we've done our chores, we've done this, we've done that. And when we went out the other day, we were super good. Then, I'd bring everything back to her, remembrance and say, Mom, but remember, don't forget, you said. I had an elephant memory from when I was year high, right? And at the end of that, I'd have so much ammunition. She had no choice but to say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You got me there. Go have it, right? But whatever it was, whatever strategy I had to use, I came out of that conversation getting what I wanted, right? Because I would start with something so out there that even I knew it was ridiculous, right? But because I knew what my sisters wanted and what I wanted, I packaged it in such a way that I always came out getting exactly what we wanted. So they thought I had some magic wand on the parents, right? Growing up, right? But I had already sussed them out. I knew how to play one against the other, both together. United front, that's it. I knew, and I'd go in, ask for it, and we got it, right? So what we think, right, of ourselves, our self-esteem, I know what I'm good at. And I don't even, sometimes modesty, people say modesty will get you everywhere. If somebody compliments me for what I'm good at, I say thank you. But in my head, I own it because I know that is the space where I shine. When I was made, I got a sprinkle of public speaking, right? Deposited in this vessel that I am. I got a sprinkle and I got a healthy dose of that sprinkle, right? So I'm not shy. I speak, and when I speak confidently. There's no omen, there's no iron. I'm not unsure. I'm not shaky. I'm not terrified, because I look at my audience and I go, you know what? They're on two legs, just like me. They're humans. They want to do better. They want to have more. They want to be better, right? So I just see them as though I'm talking to myself. And so I talk to people the way I would talk to myself, the way I would talk to friends. And in the boardroom, oh my God, it's like I am the expert at what I do. I am the authority, because people come to me to ask questions. So I don't go into a meeting doubting myself. If I know I'm good at something, oh no, there's no doubt in my mind. Areas where I think I have work to do, where stuff can be improved, I still don't go in shaky, because I tell myself, girl, you got this. You've practiced, you put in the work, you've read the book, you've reached out to the experts in this area, you got your notes, you've memorized the salient points, you got this. You may not be the technical expert at this, but at that meeting, you can still talk a good game. You can get your point across, and people will know that you know what you're talking about. That might not be my strong area, right? But I will deliver, where people come out and they go, damn, I didn't know you knew so much about that. And I'm like, I had homework. I did my homework before I walked into that room. The number of times people come up to me and say, wow, I didn't know you knew so much about that and the other. I go, girlfriend, I read books on it. spoke to the experts, took copious notes, and I've been rehearsing this all night just to make sure I delivered this on point, right? And they think I'm an expert, but half the time, I always say to you guys, when I come on here, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Literally what I'm talking about today, I got at, so my time, maybe 2 hours ago. And that was just before I went on to my call with the technical guys and what I was doing, right? Because I thought to myself, I'm talking almost back to back. What am I going to be saying to my people at 5, right? I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I knew that I had that space of time before my call, knowing my calls were going to be back to back. But I said to myself, you never struggled to speak. So just, and I actually took time out. I closed my eyes and I said, you know what, universe, what's the message today? Download it. And before I knew what was going on, everything I'm saying to you now came up in my head, literally 2 hours ago. I have no notes, nothing. I'm literally just speaking from what I thought about 2 hours ago. So when I'm strong in an area, my self-esteem, oh, it's up there. My motivation levels, oh, they're up there. I don't doubt myself. I don't discount myself. I don't count myself out of the game. I don't say I can't do this. No, I say I've got this. So I walk in and I'm walking in confident. But when I haven't got something right, I still say to myself, I know I'm not the expert, but I've done the work. I've read the books. I've spoken to the expert on this. And so I know I can deliver what needs to be delivered. I do not like writing. I don't think it's a strong point of mine. But guess what? I got an email from my director, my deputy director today, saying he loves reading my work. Now, when he said that, I almost fell off my chair because I don't think I write, well enough, right? But he loves reading everything I write about, because every time I write, he's like, it takes something away from what I've written. And I thought to myself, damn, girl, all that work is paying off. Because this is something I work at constantly. I'm always doing board papers, presentations, writing articles. It is not what I love to do. It's not where I shine. It's not where I thrive. It's not a default strength. I'm not comfortable when I do it. But because I practice and I put in the work, I put in the time, I'm now getting compliments back to say, you are good at this. We enjoy reading what you write. That never used to be the case. But I took it on board as, you know what, that's a developmental opportunity. I'm going to work at that and I'm going to win that, right? So I'm not perfect. I don't have everything passed down to a T. No ways. Absolutely not, right? But my self-esteem, what I'm good at, ain't nobody can take that from me. I wear it proudly. I step into a room and I shine and I go, yeah, I know, I got it, thank you. I don't doubt myself. I don't downplay my strengths. No, never, right? So when colleagues, I say, oh, thanks for noticing. I've always known that, but I'm glad you see it too, because clearly it's a core strength, right? And even when they say I'm good at something and not quite good at, I go, oh my God, thank you so much for the encouragement, because I really needed that. I thought I sucked at that, right? But I know I'm putting in the work and I know I'm getting better every day. That's how I handle that. So I'm not shy to put my hands up and say, I'm not the expert at this, but if I still need to deliver on it, I will put in the work, I will spend the time on it, and I will get better at it. But where I'm good, oh, nobody can, chip at my self-esteem and tell me I'm worthless when I know that that's where I shine. Not happening, not happening. So what I've said all of that today to say, wherever you are right now is a result of what you've thought, what you've seen, and your self-esteem, the value you place on your self-esteem. So it's not coincidence, it's not a mishap, it's not an accident. You are exactly where you are meant to be. If you want to change that, you need to look at 3 core things from what I said today. What's the mental image that you hold for what you want to look like, what you want to be like, how you want to be represented in business? Until you have that in detail form, where if somebody wakes you up at night and asks you, what's your mental image of your business, of you, of your environment, of your profits, right? If you don't have that pattern down, then you haven't spent enough time birthing that dream. That's 1. What do you see? 2, what do you think? If there are any scripts that are still playing in your minds that are negative in any way, you got to chalk them out. And you got to replace them with positive affirmations. And once again, that takes time. If it takes you doing the auto-suggestion thing, chapter 4, of As a Man Thinketh, I believe it was the book, right? Or Think and Grow Rich, one of them. If it takes you doing that every night, they say a habit is formed in 14 days. I do it for 21, just for good measure, right? So if you need to do the auto-suggestion thing every night before you go to sleep and say to yourself, this is who I am. These are my core strengths, right? And my self-esteem is top-notch because I am great at XYZ, or I deliver XYZ to the marketplace. Whatever it is, whatever affirmations you need to write, replace that negative script with something that actually serves you. Be your own cheerleader is what I'm saying. Because if you're not cheering yourself on, if you're not patting yourself on the back, ain't nobody going to do that for you. And if anybody else does it, you're not going to receive it because you're not doing that for yourself already. So don't give up on you, right? And then in terms of self-esteem, you got to place a high value on you. You can't give your power away and let somebody else place a value on you, because nobody else should know how valuable you are first before you. You should be the one determining to the marketplace the value that you hold. Don't let somebody else assign a value to you. Otherwise, you know what? You'll be shortchanged every single time. Take it from me. Being there, done that ain't worth it. So I go into places now and I tell people how I want to be spoken to, how I want to be treated, and I don't take anything less. I have posture now about that. And I don't apologize for it either. I do not let anybody assign a value to me. If they don't see my value, it's their loss. But guess what? I don't diminish my value to suit what, value they place on me. No ways. I should bring them up to my standard, not the other way around. Because when you see the value that you hold, when you rate your self-esteem that highly, you walk into any room with confidence and people will listen to what you have to say. People will want to do business with you. People will want to buy your products or your service. It's all about posture, but it starts with what you think of yourself, the value you assign to yourself. And it is key because people can see it. If you walk into a room and your head is stooped, your shoulders are droopy, that's it. They're going to treat you like that. But if you walk in with confidence saying, you know what, I got this. I'm going to work this room. And I'm going to come out of here with 2 new contacts, 3 new, whatever it is your goal is for going into that space, into that meeting. If you step in with confidence, if you need to give yourself a pep talk, sometimes I go into the ladies, right? And while I'm washing my hands, put the soap on and it's all, being lathered and I under the tap and I'm speaking to myself. I'm going, girl, you're about to go into this meeting. It's going to be fabulous. You're going to meet great people. I'm saying it to myself under my breath, right? I take those moments. I big myself up, right? So when I walk into a room and then I get people saying back to me what I already told myself, I thank them for recognizing what I already knew. But it's not news to me when they say it to me. They're just affirming what I already think about myself, what I already tell myself, right? And it's so powerful. If you can do that, I promise, there's no conversation you will go into where you won't be upbeat, where you won't be motivated. And if you go into every conversation with that mindset, even when they don't bite, you won't take it on personally because you'll be like, you know what, it's their loss. They didn't see the value of what I was presenting. And you'd be able to go on to the next person and just carry on the conversation. You won't count yourself out of the game. You keep trying until you get what it is you want to get. You won't give up on you ever. If you do that before you walk into a space, you'll never write yourself off. Never, never. Yeah. So that's what was coming up for me. I know I've spoken longer than I usually do, but yeah, I thought about this and this is what came up as a topic. So once again, the topic was, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Ain't no mishap, no mistake, no coincidence, because your thoughts, your image, your mental picture, your self-esteem has gotten you this far. So if you want to change it, 3 questions to ask yourself. What's your mental picture? What do you see? 2, what do you think? And 3, what value do you place on yourself? What's your self-esteem like? Yeah. So that's it. That's what was coming up for me. So I see Linda has put in a message. Oh, you're welcome, sweetie. She goes, I reminded her of so many things and I've helped raise her vibration. That's what this is all about, right? For us to leave these calls ready to face our day with oomph, right? Just go out there and be people, winners, productive, successful. Yeah. I'm glad you tuned in as well. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for the feedback, Linda. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? I'm going to keep quiet now.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, go.
Yes, very good topic. Thank you very much. I always speak apparently very confidently. And I have been shit on for so long for that. And I keep saying, I can't help it. That's just the way I talk. So whatever, if you have a problem with the way I talk, that's your problem, not mine. But I have this really cool thing I wanted to share. And this topic really plays into it. I think I'm doing okay with the Amazon business and growing and, personal development, because like most of the people on this call, the person we are now is completely different than the person we were when we started in this group. And my daughter started her own business 2 weeks before COVID hit and shut everything down. And she's a hairdresser. She's fantastically gifted colorist. And she's an Amazon. Like, I'm the shortest one in the family at 5'7". She's almost 6 foot and, does a green and black mohawk and is covered in tattoos and lots of piercing, very colorful. So she's always wanted to have her own hair salon, and then have another section of the salon where it's a tattoo parlor. And, like years ago, I thought, girl, you're fucking crazy. Like, stop tattooing yourself. You're never going to get a job. Like, all the things that parents worry about. But she opened up her business just before COVID hit. And of course was immediately shut down. And anytime we have reopened for short periods of time or whatever throughout the past 18 months, she's been just swamped. Like, she worked at a place for 7 years. She's got a good clientele before she opened up her own place. And last night she was sharing with me, like, she's done the expansion. She talked the landlord into letting her redesign the outside, the exterior of the building for him. And he let her do whatever she wanted. It's like, as a landlord, I would never let my tenant do that, but whatever, it worked for her. The child is fearless, is my point. She is so fearless. So she opened up this business during the middle of a pandemic, or just before the pandemic hit. She's been solidly booked ever since. Every time we open up, she's solidly booked. We are now completely, just as of yesterday, 100% capacity, and social distancing doesn't need to happen anymore. And I'm hoping we get rid of the mask mandate pretty soon. But we reopened from the last shutdown. I think it was in August. And she is booked solid until February. So that's all great. And she's been working on the expansion for months, and she does all the renos herself. And she sent me pictures last night. Where does this idea come from? Like, the girl is just amazing. She wants to be able to serve alcohol while people are getting tattooed. Like, you can already bring your pet there. It's pet friendly. So you can bring your cat or dog with you when you get your hair done. It's gender neutral pricing. So women don't pay any more than a man for a haircut or a hair salon or style. But she started working with a brewery to develop her own drink to sell. Like, the girl is making such a fucking brand for herself. Yep. And she showed me the outcome. She got this kiwi seltzer, and the design on the label, it's her with her green hair and all her tattoos, with her scissors, and her salon's called Black Cat, and the drink is called Black Cat Tonic, right? Like, and I'm like, where the hell does this child get this ingenuity, like this business spirit? Like, she's so fearless. She has such creative ideas. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Girl, you fucking raised her. Where do you think she got it? And it was like a new bloody idea. Like, and I know that sounds so silly, but it was a new idea that she is not 100% responsible for it. I taught her some stuff, right? like she's an extension of me. And And it just made me feel like, re-energized me to get even more creative in my business.
Good.
But I just like, who the hell would think of putting a liquor license in a hair salon? Like, honestly, and I know she's going to make it work. I know she's going to make it, she'll be fantastically successful at it.
Yeah.
Anyway, my kid's awesome, but but it was just such an aha moment of, where that creativity came from.
Mm.
And it boosted my confidence.
Good.
Because even though it's before, I'm doing okay, but I feel like I should be doing more. Or I could be producing more profit or whatever, or what other streams do I need to learn or whatever, and feeling a little overwhelmed. And then that happened. And then your talk today just kind of brought my self-esteem back up.
Fantastic. So, well, I'm going to start by saying the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's what I tell her all the time. It drives her crazy.
So you birthed this child. Come on, you gave her the boundaries. You let her be her. She's expressive. You've raised a confident young lady, right? So kudos, right? This is your work. This is the fulfillment of all those years that you poured into this little person when she arrived, right? Mm-hmm. And you've given her the space to go forth and be all that she's destined to be, right? Because half the time, parents are very good at containing children and not recognizing their gifts and giving them the space to just be. So good on you for giving her the right foundation, but at the same time, letting her become the fullness of who she's meant to be. And her idea, what she's probably done, what I would have done, and quite a few salons here in the UK do have that, the top end ones. Oh, yeah? They've looked around and they've given themselves a unique selling proposition just to make themselves slightly different from the core trend. When I go for like a makeover and stuff, I get offered a glass of bubbles because they know I like bubbly. So when I go in, it's on tap. It's waiting for me right there. Fine, they've worked it into the price, but guess what? I get that on arrival. I end up looking fabulous. I take photos before I leave. And that's how they position themselves. So I'm not surprised that she now wants to introduce this, because guess what? From what I know about tats, some of that stuff can be a bit painful, right? So if you have a drink, you can end up being a bit more mellow, and then you can get as daring as you want, like creative wise. I'm not advocating that everyone goes and gets a tattoo and gets drunk while doing it, but it's just a way to make her customers, her clientele, that bit more relaxed for whatever it is, artwork they're going to be getting done, right? And she already knows after a pandemic, a lot more people have pets now, right? And a lot of people lived on their own happily before the pandemic. So you're having a lot of one-person households now, suddenly having a dog or a cat or a bird or a hamster or a fish or something, right? And so good on her for realizing this and saying, you know what, if you want to bring your pets in, happy to have them. Because single people, the one thing that kept them from getting pets back in the day was it's not fair for a pet to be in the house 24/7 or most of the day on its own, especially a dog. Absolutely. But because we've all worked remotely most of the last 18 months, they were encouraged to get that, and it helped their mental health, right? So she's just thinking, who's my target audience? What are they going to need to feel comfortable to patronize my business on a long-term basis? So she's a smart kid.
She is
smart. Thinking of, man, the people I want to get at, what carrot can I dangle that's going to get them walking through them doors?
And the funny thing is, and she's done this all her life.
Yeah.
She does whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And she's successful at it.
Yeah. Why not?
And it's like,
she's your kid, Sonia. Look in the mirror. Every time I speak to you, you're smashing your Amazon stuff. You pictured getting your property, right? Not only did you get it, you got it for a fantastic price. Like,
yes, I did.
you and I were chatting. So if I need to remind you of some of the stuff we talked about, like you were the pace setter for your daughter. You set the example. You set the standard. So I'm not surprised. She has posture. She has confidence, and so she should. She comes from you. I'm not surprised in the least. And guess what? That landlord is going to be better for letting her do what she wanted to do.
Oh my God.
Because now his property is going to be on the map. It's going to be a landmark.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
There we go. So
and it increased the value of that building like by 30 grand at least. Like it looks fantastic. I'll send you pictures.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised. Good on her. Tell her congrats from us on the JLSM platform. And these are the kind of stories we want to hear, right? We can't be doing all of this and not see a material difference in our lives. It's impossible. No, exactly. We can't be doing all of this and not be making an impact in our worlds. It just doesn't work. If you spend the time on something, on yourself, personal development, business skills, whatever it is, you will see the rewards. You will reap the harvest. You will see the impact you're making. It's a no-brainer. You're doing the work. So why shouldn't you be rewarded? And if it takes your daughter coming and sharing her success with you, girlfriend, take it. It's all you. Because that child won a bean bought for you. You carried her in your tum-tum for, so hey, this is one of your part of your legacy, as far as I'm concerned, right? And you've done a good job on her. So well done.
Didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. This is part of your legacy. Yeah.
That's my legacy.
Yeah. This is part of the footprint you're living in the world to say, Sonia Thuringia was here. She was here and she made a difference. So you're occupying your space and you are shining fabulously bright. So
thank you, my dear.
But thank you for sharing that. I think people needed to hear success stories happening. Yeah, not just our generation, but the next generation too. It's critical. It's really good. Does anybody else want to weigh in? Hey, Lindsay Dollar Mama, I see your camera on.
I just think that's great. Sonia, your daughter I have a son that's like that. I don't know what he's going to do or when he's going to do it. But, I like what you said about being you got to be your own cheerleader. You got to go in with posture, and it's like taking me a year, but I remember I have that. I just forgot. And it may not be every day, and I have to have pep talks, but guess what? I know how to do that. Yeah, so this is great.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you. But you're a fabulous mom too. I mean, what the investment you're making in those two young men, oh my goodness. I know where you get the strength, woman, but I go like that to you. Every time I speak to you, every time I see them boys, I mean, oh my goodness, you are doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And so yeah, my hat goes off to you. You're just another, you're the kind of mother kids need, kids should have. You're fabulous. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Some days I feel like that, but that's what it is. But yeah, Liam's always got a side hustle. He's 12.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Yeah, but look at yourself, girl. Look in the mirror. He's taking after you. He's taking after you. He's making things happen.
He does. And he has to make things happen. He really surprises me. I'm like,
Don't be surprised. That's your kid through and through.
I don't let him know I'm surprised. I just said I expected nothing less.
Exactly.
I gotta get my posture back. All kinds of, yeah, it's true. You gotta have that knowingness. I don't care if anybody else what they think about me. I really don't. It's their problem, not mine. If you don't like me, nobody asks you to be around me. So that's kind of how I've been. Yeah.
Lindsay, I have to share something with you. Okay. So I'm sporting the worst haircut I've ever given myself.
I like it.
Exactly. I love it. Oh my God.
And I was just so, how sometimes you just have to be in the mood to cut your own hair, right? And I
did that one time in the lady cut.
Anyway, I got the clippers out. I put on the head, that indicates how short your hair is going to go. I'm like, I think that's right. Turned it on. Nope, that's too short, but we're committed. So whatever. Did the rest of it, right? Took out the scissors, shaped the top a bit, whatever. And I looked in the mirror. I'm like, that's probably the worst haircut I've ever given myself. But it's not my problem. You all have to look at me. I don't. So, and when I thought that to myself. I was like, girl, you really don't care what other people think. So right on you, Lindsay. You don't. It frees you if you don't care about what other people think.
That's
but
when I
got
got
my
haircut. The lady that's always cut my hair, she said, "What are we doing today?" I said, "Whatever you want to do." And I mean, I came out there one day with, let's see, it was this side. Well, this side's still shaved to a degree, but it was shaved this side above my ear and all the way across the back, and it was like down here. It was the most awesome haircut I think I've ever had. My dad and my husband were like, that's the, yeah. I was like, what is up with that? I was like, that's what I'm going for.
I love it. I love it. And these are the chances we need to take. I mean, it's all about reinventing ourselves, taking chances. I mean, when I had short hair, God, I used to have patterns on my scalp. I'd go to a barber and they'd have like weird and wonderful patterns on my, I went wild. I did everything and anything because of my skin, whatever, I had to get my hair shaved. And I thought to myself, you know what, if this is going to be my look for however long, I'm going to rock it. And I used to wear like really statement piece earrings, and my makeup was like, like not quite goth, but like va-va-voom, like in your face, right? But that's the kind of, like, I kind of find like a really short haircut gives you that edginess. So you can go a bit like more wild and in your face with stuff like your jewelry, and that you can't do when you got the bob or you got the fringe. You got to be like girly girl and all demure and whatever. But when you go short, you can push those boundaries. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, Sonia, I'm looking at you. I'm thinking, if we ever went out with you in that haircut, I could just imagine you in some leather stuff and maybe a stud in one ear, and then like gothic, like proper black eye makeup, or just to just shock people. I mean, I'd be down for that. I'd go out.
The original idea was I was going to get black dye.
There we go.
Black hair dye. And if you use like a celery stick, it'll give you a C, and just put dots along the side, so I look like a cougar.
See? I mean, this is stuff you can do with a haircut like that. If it was long, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I figured, oh well, if it's this short, we're gonna go with it. So
there we go.
That's the goal this week, is pick up some box of hair dye and put some cougar dots on my head.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. I mean, I love it. Let's just rock it, If it happens, yeah, we make the best of it, Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? I know we're almost at the top of the hour, but I just want to make sure if anybody else has any thoughts that we capture them as well. Okay, nobody else. So that's good. You've got maybe 5.5 minutes, or maybe 5 minutes by the time I'm done talking. But thank you all so much. I don't see anything else on the calendar tonight. So unless I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anything else on a Tuesday now. So we will see you all again on general session tomorrow. But have a good evening, everybody, and have a great day, whatever you do. Remember to have that mental image top of mind. Replace those negative scripts with positive affirmations, and please value yourself. Let your high esteem, your self-esteem be up there. Don't let anybody else place value on you. Rather walk into every space knowing the value that you hold. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you lots. Good to see you all.
Have a good
Bye. Bye, everybody.